We need to think differently if we're going to make this work. This will need to go through procurement now. Good luck. I can sign today, but only if we drop the price by 10%. Sellers face some of the same negotiation tactics and challenges today as they did in years past. But how sellers need to negotiate and what buyers expect from sellers is different today compared to the way it was in years past. For example, buyers of all types now have more information about you, your offerings, your competitors, and your prices. Third parties often sit between buyer and seller, representing and insulating buyers from sellers. Procurement is more involved, and so on. This might make you think the buyer has all the leverage. Not so. In fact, a Harvard Business Review article shares that in many industries, the balance of power has dramatically shifted from buyers to suppliers. Still, most sellers are not prepared to respond well to buyers when the buyers seek to negotiate. The truth is, in most cases, negotiations are critical to the success of both sellers and buyers. To handle negotiations that result in the best possible agreements, and conversely that don't fall apart when they don't need to, sellers and buyers need to be skilled. You need to use the right strategies, approaches, and tactics at the right time, and know how to respond to the other party regardless of what's thrown at you. At RAIN Group, we've been observing sales negotiations and training and coaching sellers to negotiate for over 2 decades. To understand the current state of sales negotiations and test and validate our approach, the RAIN Group Center for Sales Research conducted a major global study to learn what's happening in actual negotiations between buyers and sellers, including what works and what doesn't when it comes to achieving successful negotiation outcomes. We studied 449 buyers, including 247 business buyers and 202 procurement and purchasing professionals, and 264 sellers. We studied their negotiation approaches in general, as well as in 713 real negotiations representing $2.59 billion in purchases. Our research gave us a direct view into what buyers say they want and the tactics they use in negotiations. We also learned what top-performing sales negotiators do differently and the results they achieve. We'll share it with you all in the RAIN Sales Negotiation Program. The results top-performing sales negotiators get are eye-popping. They're 12.5 times more likely than the rest to be very satisfied with the outcome of their negotiations, 3.1 times more likely than the rest to achieve their pricing target, and 3.5 times more likely to be extremely confident in their negotiations. So, what are some things top performers do differently to achieve these results? Our research showed that they did a better job than the rest in 6 major areas. Always be willing to walk. There are a number of factors here, but here's a good one. Top performers are 3.8 times more likely to understand the power and leverage held by each side. In fact, this is the number one difference between top performers and the rest. They know power and leverage, their walkaway points, and are less likely to be bullied into a bad deal. Build value. Top performers outperform the rest by 1.9 times when it comes to articulating their value and differentiation. And they work to build value throughout the sales process and in the negotiation itself. So when they need to, they lead discussions based on value, not price. Lead the negotiation. Sellers lead the negotiation in many ways, including doing things like making the first offer and not waiting for buyers to do so. In fact, top performers are 2.4 times more likely to do this. Affect emotions. Top performers are 2.2 times more likely to be prepared to manage emotions in negotiations, including the emotions of buyers as well as their own. Trade, don't cave. Top performers are 2.6 times more likely than the rest to be prepared to trade. And they do a better job when trading. Plan to win. Top performers are 1.7 times more likely than the rest to be prepared for the negotiation overall. This is a success factor totally within your control. And what about the buyers? What did they say? Here are a few eye-opening points from the research. Buyers can often pay more, even when they say they can't. Buyers might give you a budget, but is it real? Well, 62% of buyers agree they have the flexibility to pay more if the supplier demonstrates why doing so is worth it. More significantly, only 16% of buyers disagree that they can pay more. Budgets are not always as firm as buyers lead sellers to believe. Yet, many sellers accept budgets at face value, and their negotiations suffer. Sellers largely don't apply the most effective negotiation tactics. For example, our research revealed that only 27% of buyers see sellers use what sellers found to be the most effective seller negotiation strategy. In the training, we'll reveal this tactic, along with the other most effective tactics. Buyers find a wide variety of negotiation tactics they use to be effective. Of the 16 tactics we studied that buyers use, 63 to 85% of buyers said each is effective. In other words, when buyers want to negotiate to get better deals, they find they most typically can. Often they tell us sellers are ill-prepared to react to how they negotiate. Here's one more. Buyers are 50% more likely than sellers to have received extremely effective negotiation training. But since you're participating in the RAIN sales negotiation program, they won't have that advantage over you. The research also addresses key questions such as, is win-win, also known as partner, negotiation the best strategy for success? Or is it distributive, also known as win-lose or positional? Mixed motive, a combination of both, or something else? What are the most common negotiation tactics buyers use on sellers? And how should sellers respond? Which tactics work the best for buyers and sellers? Who should make the first offer? Should you come in high on price and expect to negotiate down, or come in at a core price and hold firm? Should sellers ask for a budget, or should they share pricing and price ranges first for the solution they might propose? You'll learn the answers to these questions and more as you go through the RAIN Sales Negotiation Program and prepare to join the ranks of top performers, who are 9.3 times more likely to receive extremely effective training and 12.5 times more likely to be very satisfied with the outcomes of their sales negotiations.